Hi, this is Greg Prescott from myed12-21-2012.com and n5d.com, and today I'm talking with George Kavassilas. Are you there, George?
Yes, I am, Greg. Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for coming aboard and allowing me to ask you a few questions about what we're going to expect in the future. Can you hear me?
How you going, Greg?
I am doing
Yes, I can.
Awesome, wonderful. I'm doing wonderfully. How about yourself?
Oh, you sound very lively for a man who's still awake at 2:40 a.m.
You know, it's like I was telling Muggsy earlier today. You know, it's when you work for the greater good, you just find this energy and it keeps you going.
You do, don't you? Yeah, I find that too. Yeah. Oh, I feel very honoured and very humbled. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here with you. I had a 4-hour interview last night. yeah, that was quite lengthy. Very intense energy. So. It turned out quite good. I got to say a few things I've been wanting to say and going a bit public with a few controversial issues. But anyway, it needs to be done.
Good. I can't wait to hear those interviews. Your message resonates with me probably as much as anybody else's, if not more.
Thank you, Greg.
Everything you do, your work is amazing, and it's just an honor to be working with you right now as part of this team. Oh, and by the way, congratulations on your marriage.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah.
Good
yeah,
for
we had
you.
We had a really wonderful day on Sunday. Yeah, it was magic.
And
pure magic.
And here you are back to work.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow morning we're leaving to go on our honeymoon.
Oh, nice.
And heading over to New Zealand for that, and actually even got a talk organised whilst on our honeymoon, and it wasn't my idea, by the way. It was actually Cynthia's idea.
Okay. Well, that's okay. You know,
yeah.
and I noticed on that Ascend TV interview that you had, you were mentioning that you have a son that is kind of like into the TV and video kind of thing, and
yeah.
I was wondering about a few things because I have a daughter. My daughter's 16, and I love her to death. She's everything I could have asked for in a child, and but yet you still wonder about your children and this whole ascension process. And I know that's you've probably driven yourself crazy doing this, as I have. But but you know, one of the things I'm wondering about is, and Muggsy and I were talking about this earlier. We believe. We're kind of on a consensus about this, that, and I believe you're in on the same boat too. It's not really going to be a decision on who goes or who doesn't. Well, it's going to be decided for us pretty much. So if you're in that positive vibration, it'll just happen. If not, you get left behind. Is that kind of the way you see it?
On one level, I absolutely see it that way. For me, the perception of it that I have also goes into higher aspects of ourselves, who orchestrated this life that we are experiencing. That the decision was made on that level, and down here we're just playing out the actual experience of it all.
Okay.
So the actual decision has already been made by our own greater beings. But, you know, with the experience that we have down here in this reality, we also get to play out the drama, and it appears as though we get to choose, which is fun. You know, there's fun in the mystery, and but I know from a much higher perspective, the decision has already been made who goes through and who doesn't.
So, say hypothetically that, well, you have 2 children. Say you knew one was going and the other was getting left behind. What would you do?
Well, that's how I felt. I felt that one is going through and one possibly might get left behind. And that's how I feel. And I've had to process that. So I've gone through times of emotion and tears, thinking, well, if I've got to let one of my sons go, I have to, otherwise I can't be a control freak. And one of my sons, because I've got 2 boys, so one of my sons to do what I would want him to do, if it's his path, his course and destiny to remain in the lower paradigms, it's important for me to let him go.
So do you think that there would be a parallel universe perhaps that would be created where he'd have like a new father and mother and somebody to watch over him here? Or
no, it won't be like that, no.
So he'd be left to fend on his own then?
Well, wherever he goes with. Yeah, that's right. He will be with whoever he needs to be with. In like the people he'll be with will be of a similar vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And for some it will be traumatic, and for others it won't be. They'll just know that they're where exactly they need to be.
Now, it's interesting because Muggsy was talking about this door that would open. She was kind of relating it to also the photon belt. What do you know about the photon belt and how that relates to everything that's going on?
Yeah, the photon belt is a band of energy, and we are fluctuating at the moment in and out of it a little bit, but we'll be fully immersed in it very, very soon. And it's one of the triggers that are helping to activate things here in this reality. There's so many things at work here. It's not just one thing. It's not just the photon belt, and it's not just Nibiru, and it's not just, this, that, or the other. It's everything culminating together. The primary and principal energies that are driving the whole scenario here, though, are the evolutionary process of humanity, of the consciousness of this planet, the consciousness of the star system, and the consciousness of this galaxy. And they're the main foundational building blocks of what's going on here. Everything else is playing a role, but aren't the major influences. So to say that Nibiru, for example, is the cause of all the earth changes, to me doesn't cut it, because the earth changes are coming about because Mother Earth is shedding her outer skin and is about to ascend and become a being of light. So that's how I see it.
Well, what I was curious about too was along that same line about the whole 5D Earth. Now, Dolores Cannon mentioned something where she believed that, where she says they, inferring that the people that contact her said it would be possible that the Earth would go into this stage of sleep perhaps for a few days, and when you wake up it would already happen. But do you see it more as a slowly evolving process, or do you see it as something that would be quick and, in the blink of an eye, so to speak, as what they might say in the Bible?
Yeah, it will be. It will happen quickly, not so much in the blink of an eye. The events will become very apparent very soon. Okay. The planet will start to shake, rattle, and roll in a far more extensive way than what she's already doing, and she's holding off right to the very end, giving us all a chance to get ourselves together. There'll come a time where she can no longer hold off, and we'll have to allow her body to go through the changes that are required. Just like we as individuals are having many, many aches and pains all over our bodies and are going through the metamorphosis process in various different ways, Mother Earth needs to do that as well. And our ascension process is a symbiotic relationship, so we're in the process together with her, those who are going through that, down that path. And so it's important to understand that we both will be experiencing similar things. So when I ascend, I'm not leaving any of me behind. So when Mother Earth ascends, she's not leaving any of herself behind. So the concept of the splitting into the two Earths, for me, I don't buy that. I don't resonate with that. In all the conversations and that I've had with Mother Earth herself, that is not the case, because she's going to ascend. So she's not going to remain fragmented. What is happening, though, is other planetary systems are being set up to facilitate the continuation of the journey of beings who want to pursue this path, and that's what's happening. And people will be taken eventually to these other planetary systems.
Now, I know that Muggsy was talking to George Green last night, and earlier in the evening, Muggsy and I were talking about what to expect, and I know she was really happy about the fact that on 5D Earth there will be houses, because I was kind of thinking, well, maybe you could just lay down on the grass or the ground and it would contour itself to your body. But she said she's hoping that there would be housing and stuff like that. What do you see? Do you think there will be like communities and stuff like that?
Oh, well, I've travelled to the 5D, and what I remember from my travels was that there were some dwellings, but not many at all. And life is incredibly harmonious there. And the other thing is our bodies are quite different in their internal organs and what have you. The way children are born and procreated and what have you. It's on a very different level, and so there are some dwellings there, like meeting halls and maybe the odd temple, but that's about it. It's not like housing as we would have it, because we need to shelter from the elements, and there's no need to do that on the fifth dimension because there's no harshness in the environment, and there's no winds and storms and rains, and that doesn't occur. Beings who are trees and animals that are sharing that environment with you are living off energy of light, so the concept of requiring a dwelling is not there. Those needs, we don't have those needs.
When I envision a 5D Earth in a meditation, I always seem to see it as this tropical kind of setting, palm trees, white sand kind of thing. Do you see something like that?
Well, in some areas it is like that. It is varied. The ecosystems do vary depending on, obviously that blends into then the aquatic life and aquatic beings, and so you have a very strong connection in that area. So your origins are of a Syrian nature, which is aquatic Syrian energy is what I'm picking up through you, and so that's a wonderful thing. So you're very closely related to the dolphins and the whales.
Oh, without a doubt. I was born in upstate New York in the Catskill Mountains, and I've always had this affinity to water and palm trees. And finally, I moved down to Florida about 7 years ago. I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with that area. While I was down there, I had a dream where I met one of my spirit guides, and her name was Tamara. And I thought, what an unusual name, Tamara. So I looked it up. Tamara means palm tree. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I love it. I love life.
So now, Muggsy and I were also talking. What about food in 5D? Do we eat? Are we light bodies? Do we?
No, we don't eat, and our bodies function from a single energetic center, and it's beyond the chakra body. The chakra body is the 4D body. So the concept of pineal gland and third eye and all that, they're all 4D concepts. And so our body, our 5D body is deeper than the chakra body, the 4D body.
Okay.
So and with that, it's because we're back into harmony and oneness and singularity. So it's a different state of being.
So I'm really curious about this one too. We were talking about another subject, sex. George Green kind of put out what he believes will happen in regards to sex, but I'm curious what you think.
Well, the way we integrate in the 5D, even 4D beings do this. I mean, it's an energetic exchange. It's the gratification, the satisfaction, and the honouring and the respecting one has for one another on these levels are so vastly different. You don't have the yearnings for the kind of nurturing that we do have on this level, and so the interaction that takes place is different. And also the way beings are born into realities is different. So the male and the female will come together and create an energetic exchange, and the communication happens with the being on a conscious level, and it's an awareness of the being that wants to come in and share the life that you have together on that level. It's quite an amazing experience, by the way.
Sounds beautiful. I made a post on Facebook. Speaking of which, do you have a Facebook page?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
No, it's something I can't resonate with. I just can't do Facebook for some reason. It's not my journey to.
Well, there's enough on your plate right now the way it is. But I made a post.
There is. Sorry to cut you off, Greg, but there is somebody who has a page for me up there. I didn't sort of like ask anybody to do that, and nobody asked me permission to do it. It's just there, so I don't know what that's doing there, to be honest.
Muggsy has this vision about what might happen, and I kind of made a post on David Wilcox's Facebook page, and this is pretty much what the post said. The GFL is propaganda channeled from the lower astral plane. While the channelers are well intended, the information will be misleading. In the near future, there will be a red carpet affair with Hollywood celebrities going aboard UFOs, and the sheeple will follow. Within the universal laws, the malevolent ETs cannot interfere with us, but if a human were to guide a spaceship, then that would be the free will of those who board the ship. Those who board these ships will not return. Currently in New York, malevolent ETs are training humans to fly these ships. What people fail to realize is that when Earth ascends, so will all living creatures on this planet, and when anyone who boards these ships will inevitably perish or will miss the ascension process. Does any of that resonate with you?
All of it.
Okay.
The majority of the people won't perish, though.
No?
What's really, really, really important to understand is just how valuable a resource we are to these dark overlords. So that is something that I wanted to share with you, and this is a knowing that I've really established deep within myself. I've been processing it for some time now, and the knowing has been established within my being, and I'm very happy to talk about it. And that's why haven't all these events and disasters that were going to play out, why have they not played out? All these predictions, the depopulation of the earth, the chip, the New World Order, the economic collapses, one after the other. Why have they all been stopped?
Do you think that there's been manipulation within the timeline somehow for the good of the planet?
It will appear as though that is. But what's really going on is that if you are a farmer, okay, now it's important to put ourselves in their shoes. So if you are a farmer, you have your herd, let's take a herd of sheep, okay? And you love those animals on a certain level. They're your resource. You need those animals. You need them to be healthy. All you really need is them to conform. You need conformity. That's important. But you need them to be healthy. If they're not healthy and giving you the resources you need, then you will suffer yourself. So imagine these beings, these entities that are feeding off the energies and the resources of humanity. They need us to be relatively strong, but not too strong. They need us to be conforming and under a certain level of control, but not suffering to a degree where our energetic patterns are no longer useful to them, because they feed off different energetic patterns that we give off, as well as physical substances, glandular secretions, etc., etc. So, which I've had milked out of my body on many occasions, and which is not pleasant. I assure you that. So we need to look at it from that point of view. So you've got different levels within the dark agenda, in the dark hierarchy, and you've got ones that are lower down the ranks that are hell-bent on totally destroying Earth and totally destroying humanity. And they're saying if we can't have it, nobody can have it, and that's their mentality. But their overlords above them are saying, we're not going to let you do that, because we need to continue. If Earth is ascending, what the battle is between dark and evil right now, the ultimate battle, is the battle between the beings who are going to ascend and become fully aware universal beings, okay? So as Christ, as Buddha, fully conscious beings, that universal beings, creator gods in the making. That's what we are, okay? So there's that battle, and then you've got the ones, the beings who are going to ascend, and then you've got the beings who need to maintain the maximum amount of the human race under their control, because they need to continue to feed off humanity and humanity's energy. So it's in their best interest to keep the status quo going for as long as possible, because once you rock the boat with the volatility of the compression of this reality, with the volatility of the intensity of duality and the intensity of our emotional range, and the intensity of the brainwashing that has taken place, and the intensity of the differences that are being compressed right now between all races here on Earth, it's a very volatile situation. So the dark forces are pardon my expression, absolutely shitting themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and are doing the best they can because they don't want this to explode. They need humanity to maintain status quo because it keeps a human herd stable, because we can easily turn on each other, and then once they start losing members of the human race, they start losing their power. They have less to feed off.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they are getting maximum charge. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part of the equation that everyone seems to be missing. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, and it's part of the equation that everyone's missing. That's why all these events have not taken place, and the status quo is being maintained right to the very end, to the last days.
That's quite a conundrum that they have then, because they want to do the population reduction, yet as the population grows, more and more people are becoming awakened, and it's harder and harder for them to control the herd.
Well, they don't want the population to be reduced. The more humans they have, the more energy they feed off, the more powerful they get. It's lower elements within the dark agenda that want the population reduced.
Oh, got you. Now,
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Not
understand.
not the big guys at the top
Mm-hmm.
that feed energetically off humanity.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were mentioning something about the Galactic Federation Star Nation. Is that correct?
The Galactic Federation of Light. Some people call it Star Nation. Some people call it Federation of Free Worlds. It has many titles, but the most popular one on our planet is the GFL, the Galactic Federation of Light.
Now, from what I understand, they were the Draconians and Reptilians were supposed to leave the planet by August 13th of 2010. Is that correct?
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, that's some information that I got.
Yeah.
And that there was a wormhole. There were two wormholes that were open, and they left one open. They closed one and left one open so they would be able to leave. And then the last one was sealed off on August 14th, the following day after they were supposed to all clear the planet. So I was just kind of wondering what would happen with them.
No, the Draconians are still around. They're everywhere, and I can't see that they would have left. They're seeing their plans right through. There may be some subgroups,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because it's very factional. The dark side is incredibly factional, and it's an enormous empire that spans many frequencies within the fourth and third dimensions.
Speaking about just the ET races, which race has been in contact with you?
Okay, all right. Definitely the Syrians. Obviously, they're my home family. Same with the Pleiadians. I have an aspect of me in Pleiades as well. So they're my two main home families. I've been in contact with Arcturians. I'm working closely with them as well. Their fascination is economic collectives, by the way. They are totally fascinated by that. That's what the main study is here on Earth, is in that area. And also I've been working with ones that I've met too. I'm working closely with certain mantis races, benevolent mantis races, by the way. There are malevolent ones, but very benevolent mantis races. We're talking ancient beings that have been down here in lower paradigms from its very inception. So it's because when life first was manifest here, the main life forms that first ventured down here, the realities were very harsh, and because the cosmos here in these lower paradigms was still in the making, most of the planetary systems had very harsh environments. So the life forms had hard external shells, and that's what we know as the insect races. So they were the first ones that occupied these lower domains first. The reptilians came after them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about very ancient beings indeed, incredible wisdom, and yeah, just incredible when you get to meet with these beings.
There's go ahead, I'm sorry.
They've seen life evolve, come and go, epochs, eras, one after the other, and beings that are trillions of years old. I mean, it's hard to imagine.
it makes you wonder how many times we've came here and done this over and over and over again.
And well, not just as you, Greg. Also, imagine all the different aspects you have all over in so many galaxies everywhere. Imagine what, if you're truly a universal being, so you have the whole universe within you. So actually all races are inside of you. They're all inside me, and that's why they're all our brothers and sisters. Even the unsavory cousins that we have, that we call the dark beings, the evil ones. So
sure, we have
it's all inside of us.
We have that reptilian part of the brain.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Makes you wonder. I've got this one thing that's been irking me, and there's something that's going on between Orion's belt and the Pleiades. I don't know. I'm not sure how they're connected, but it's been irking me and it's been bugging me for years, and I don't know what it is. Maybe you can tie that together for me.
Okay, they're the main three star systems: Orion, Pleiades, and Sirius. Just so happen to be grouped as well. They are the main three races that invested more into this project here on Earth than any other races. Arcturus would come a close fourth. Okay. I wouldn't even say a close fourth. They'll come fourth. There's quite a big gap between those three races and any other race. Now, the relationship between the Pleiades and Orion is one where the Pleiadians were the ones that embodied love and light, conditional love, okay? Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are seen as the do-gooders. Okay, don't get me wrong, I'm just giving you the overall energetic patterns of a race. There's beings who are in the Pleiades who are evil as well, on different vibratory levels and different planetary systems. So it's not one fits all. We can't generalise, because you can't just say, oh, this is what an Earth human is like, and have, let's say, a guy from a bikie gang representing Earth and his behavioural patterns and everything, and then people say, a race out there would say, oh, so that's what Earth humans are like. Well, no, we're not all like that, are we? So it's important not to generalise too much. You've got your overall vibrational pattern of a particular star system, which is sort of like an average vibration of the collective. Sure, that's understandable. But there are much overlapping that actually takes place within each race. So generally speaking, okay, the Pleiadians throughout history have been known to be the do-gooders. They always go in and try to help because they love life, they love beings, so they always want to help. Orion has always had a harder edge to it. It's more of the masculine control-based energy, the warrior energy, and that's exemplified by its symbol as the hunter in astrology, and it's true, and that's the energy that exemplifies that. Sirius has always been more of a graceful, neutral sort of energy, more of one that's more the counsellor and the guider and the mentor sort of energy.
It's funny that you mentioned counselor, because I'm a child and family therapist, and you said you were picking up vibes from Syrians, and
yeah,
there you have it.
Yeah.
So when the veil drops, will certain races be exposed on Earth? Like, for example, will the reptilians kind of show who they really are?
Well, when we connect with our higher consciousness, we will be able to see them more clearly, but when the time comes, we will be in a different state of being. So as the more awareness you gain, the more wisdom you reconnect with. So yes, we will be able to see them, but also yes, we will have greater wisdom to deal with that, and we will be able to handle seeing them and cope with that experience quite well.
And that would be probably, and if you, as you've mentioned before, when you encounter them with love, and they can't defend that.
Yeah, that freaks them out, and for some, unfortunately, it's a very painful experience to be on the receiving end of love. Yeah.
So would there be karma associated with that?
I'd say karma is associated with absolutely everything that we're doing.
So if you show love to a reptilian and they go through a painful experience, would you receive karma for that?
Um, that's a very good question. Let me feel into that.
Okay. Or would it be the intent
you
that's
do
behind it?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's got to do with your intention. So if you're just gently just loving them, say, hey guys, you know, I love you, as opposed to, all right, I'm going to blast you with love energy, okay? Mm-hmm. That's two very different intentions. Mm-hmm. So if you go, right, I'm going to blast you with white love and light because I have to defend myself, so you're doing it in a reactive way where your intent is to attack with love and light, then that's karmic, definitely. Mm-hmm. But if you are just standing back and just from an unconditional loving point of view, just saying, dear brother, I understand where you're coming from, I feel your pain, because we do. You know, when you get into this high space, you actually realise where everyone's coming from, and I'm sure you've experienced that in your life. Mm-hmm. And you can, just like a cousin or a sibling or whatever who has always had issues with you, and when they're talking to you and they're being derogatory towards you, you can just stand there and just lovingly just look at them with a smile and understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
Are you familiar with the law of one and Ra? And if you are, what is your impression?
Well, I've actually got the folder of the Ra material, and I've read about 2 pages of it. So that's something I've yet to do. Okay. The couple of pages that I read felt pretty good, but I can't comment any further than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I actually should drag it out of the filing cabinet, take another look at it, because I get asked. People are asking me that a lot, and energetically, if I tune in, someone asked me the other day. They said I had a visitor here, an Asian gentleman that came to my home, and he said to me, I put before you the Bible, the Vedic text, the Quran, the this, the that, and he said, and the Ra material, he says, and he said, what do you resonate with the most out of all of those? Which are the most accurate? And I said to him, the Ra material fits energetically, without even having read it. I said, energetically, the Ra material probably resonates more than anything else at this stage. I'm not going to say that it is it, because there is nothing on this planet that is it. Okay? Everything has a level of coercion and manipulation in it, because we're in this very intense version of duality. So there is nothing that has the whole picture.
I know Muggsy was curious about the whole story of what happened to the Pleiadians, because there were certain races of the Pleiadians that, as you mentioned, there's the good and the bad, and apparently some of them got involved. I believe with the Nordics, and
yeah. Well, the originally what we call the Nordics is originally the stolen Pleiadian genetics, right? Mm-hmm. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed races were born out of the Pleiades. They're the original Nordics, okay? Mm-hmm. But because the reptilian beings go around marauding races and stealing genetics, because that's the most prized possession, the beauty, because vanity is a big issue in the Pleiades, they're a very vain race, and that's an energetic pattern that they've been tackling within their race. Some of the Arcturian planetary systems have an issue with superiority complex, and they see it as an illness, but it's an energetic pattern, and that's what they're tackling with. They have issues of superiority. So depending on the race, depends on, personality traits. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Oh, definitely. Speaking of which, one thing that I've always been pondering and thinking about, and I've got an article on my website, it's about the blood types. You have all these different blood types, and obviously we didn't come from the same person as per the biblical story. My feeling is that we were seeded here by various star nations, and that would explain different blood types, eye colors, Rh positive, negative, so on and so forth. What's your feel on that?
There's different. Okay, the human form is a generic form that has all the codes in it, and has the ability to allow any being in the universe to come and incarnate in this place that we call Earth. So we can facilitate any form of consciousness from any race. That's the amazing thing about it. Hence, human being godly being of godly mind.
So is that part of what makes this planet so special? Why they want to come here and really tap into our DNA?
Exactly, because there's no other race that has so much access to the universe than us. We have access to the whole universe. You asked me, do you think that's why this place is getting so much attention?
Right.
It's exactly why this place is getting so much attention. The genetics here, and not only our genetics, but also the ecosystem here, and the mineral compounds here and everything. This planet is the melting pot of the universe. It is a fractal. It is the microcosm of the macrocosm. So what's going on here is there is no other planetary system that has all the codes of the universe contained in one reality. It's basically the holy grail for many races on many levels.
So when we all ascend, now does that include plant life, animals?
Yeah. In the nature kingdom right now, because I've had a lot of interactions with the natural world, they are fighting it out. So you've got ant colonies sorting out karma with other ant colonies who are representatives of races out there in the greater universe. You have good dogs and you have evil dogs, don't you? You have dogs who are truly loving and unconditional, and you have dogs who are just mean and vicious and evil. And there's cats who are very, very stuck up and very arrogant, and then you have cats who are very unconditionally loving and always want to comfort and care and share for their loved ones. So the trees, oh my goodness, the war that's going on in the soil under our feet between the root systems battling it out for minerals and the karma that's happening in the plant kingdom is incredible. So it's being worked out who's going to get through and who's not as well in the natural kingdom.
What's it like in 5D to exist on light?
All right. I can share with you the experience I had. I was walking through a courtyard, and because I manifested my body there, because I left my body here at night one night and I ended up in the fifth dimension because I needed to go to a meeting. And so I'm walking across this courtyard, and I had a different body to the one I have here, obviously. And a lady was walking across the courtyard, and in that moment we just greeted one another. It was just a nodding of the head. And instantly, in that moment, I knew who this being was. I knew every aspect of this being on every planetary system in the universe, on every level. I knew where this being had come from. I knew the life's journey of that being. I knew where that being was headed. I knew all the interactions that we'd had with one another, because there was a greeting of familiarity. And in that moment, at the same time, simultaneously, every single plant in the surrounding, every single small organism, every single animal, everything, there's this flow, constant flow that just flows. This energy just flows through you. So the universe is flowing in and out of you constantly. The flow of information and the flow of love is constant. And you just, wherever you apply your awareness, you have the amount of information in any instantaneous moment. You can get every single computer on this planet and stack them all up and turn it into one giant computer, and for 1 second of processing that you get in the fifth dimension, you would basically vaporize that computer in a millisecond.
So that's what they refer to as Christ consciousness.
That is on its way to getting there.
Okay.
You know, that was the experience on one vibrational level on one planet. Christ consciousness is different to that. We're talking now having that same experience but on a universal level, knowing every dimensional level, every plant, every planet, every star system, every being on every planet, everything instantaneously.
I'm smiling ear to ear right now just listening to this.
That is vastly different. That is true Christ consciousness. That is what we are becoming.
Now, you mentioned that you had a different body in 5D. What happened to your body?
Well, I manifested my 5D body there. So I had a different kind of body. It was far more. There was no aches and pains because I've got a lot of aches and pains in this body. Mm-hmm. So there was no aches and pains. I was slightly taller and more slender than what I am now. I had a different appearance. I've got the body of the hairy barbarian on this planet, which is what's commonly known from the ET races out there. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm a hairy like a gorilla, right. But our the kind of brown, olive-skinned, brown-haired European sort of male body is known commonly throughout the ET world as the earthen hairy barbarians. That's what we're known as. So I just gave you a common colloquialism on that level just then. So I had actually my complexion was of slightly lighter, and I had long, sort of straightish sort of hair. Yeah.
So I guess a lot of people then who are concerned about their weight have nothing really to fear.
Oh no. And you know, if a being wants to express itself as being large, that's what happens.
Absolutely fascinating. I was just curious about, and I've talked to people about that, and a lot of people are still concerned about, you know, their weight and what they look like and so on and so forth. But you know, ultimately,
that's all going to change.
It doesn't really matter, you know, and that's kind of the way I feel like right here on this planet. You know, it doesn't matter if a person's heavy or it's what you're looking at on the inside.
But yeah, and it's the experience they're having. Mm-hmm. It's just the journey that they're on, is to have that experience of having a large body. And go through the process as to why and how it's happening, and you know, the emotional issues behind emotional eating, and you know, it gets complicated, but it's very deep as to why that's actually happening in the first place.
Let me ask you about this. What's your impression about the Billy Meyer material? Are you familiar?
A little bit. I can't make too many comments, but what my heart tells me is that he's in contact with a group of beings that have I would say definitely a 4D perspective, and I would say a limited perspective, simply from the point of view that I have, and I'm not saying it in a derogatory fashion, okay, but what I am saying to you is how come I've been in contact with 3 and 4D Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian and other familiar families, galactic family, and above, 5th, 6th, 7th D beings, and above that into non-physical consciousnesses. So how come even 3rd and 4th D ETs that I've been in contact with know exactly who we are, what we're all doing here, and that Mother Earth's about to ascend and become a being of light? So this is what bemuses me. Why is it that all these beings know, and on all these contactees are in contact with all these other ETs here? None of that gets said, none of that gets shared. Nobody, and all these so-called ascended masters, where is these beings? If they are masters, why aren't they sharing that information, and why aren't they advising people to meditate and go in and bring their inner light out? Why are people still externalizing with light energies and bringing light in from these entities to do healings and what have you? So for me, these are all the red flags, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, what have you learned about the Mayan calendar and the importance or the significance of that? Now, for example, who provided the information to the Mayans about what to expect, how to build the calendars, agriculture, and so on and so forth? Did you learn anything about that? And what's basically the bottom line to you of what the Mayan calendar represents?
The Mayan calendar we have today is a modified version from the original, just like any other teaching. I was actually involved in creating the Mayan calendar a long time ago. Really? One of the beings, one of the many beings. I had a life at Palenque, and the harmonic equations that I present have to do with retrieving information from that lifetime. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the duration of the cycle, when it begins, when it ends, the harmonics involved in the process, and how the harmonics connect with our DNA, and it just links into everything, those equations that I've shared. That's where that information actually comes from. And so the original Maya people had an incredibly beautiful life, incredibly harmonious, to be so synchronistic with cosmic cycles, with the natural kingdom and the natural flow and order of life. What an amazing state of being. The memory I had from that lifetime is so beautiful, such an incredible... the words elude me, because there are no words to describe how wonderful that life really was, that state of being is. And I tried doing it because when I had my experience with the 5D experience. It's not as extensive of that, but you're getting closer towards that sort of understanding of life and that experience of life. And the concept of bloodthirst and things of that nature being introduced into those societies, there was one or two that fell into that sort of lower vibratory pattern because of external influences into those societies. But archaeologists and mainstream academia want to make that the whole, because they need to continue to portray an image of primitive peoples being backwards and bloodthirsty, so that the civilization that we have today will be presented as apparently being forward and more sophisticated and more evolved, when actually we have devolved into a path of technology.
Do you know offhand what races helped the Mayans and the Egyptians?
Oh, yeah, sure. Again, the three main influences are Sirius, Pleiades, and Orion. Mm-hmm. And each one playing a different role, because they represent such major archetypal personalities of consciousness. I would say Lemuria, as far as other races go, the main one for Lemuria was Pleiadian. That was really strong. Arcturus started having a major influence in the Lemurian epoch. The Atlantean era, you're looking at Eridanus played a major role, simply because of the influences of the Draconian empires starting to... they marauded through the Eridani system through trade routes there, and they really started having this, imposing this energy of greed and power and control, and that's the influences that came into Atlantis. And there was also Aldebaran that had quite a strong influence in the Atlantean period, and a little bit of Alpha Centauri, but not that much.
So what was the purpose of actually coming up with these calendars and pyramids pointing to a specific point of time?
Oh, okay, that's to do with cycles of life. And there was a famous saying in the Bible called wheels within wheels. All right? Mm-hmm. Now that was not an attempt to describe a mechanical solution. It can be perceived as that, sure. No, I have no problem with that. But it wasn't the original intention of the statement. The original intention it's understanding how people thought back then, okay? Mm-hmm. So it has to do with cycles within cycles. So it's the explanation of these peoples come from other cycles, other paradigms, other realities. It's a way of explaining that's where these people actually come from. And we have many cycles. You have smaller cycle. Wheel within a wheel is a smaller cycle in a larger cycle. There are many, and the Mayan calendar exemplifies that. And it is understanding that all the cycles that we have been a part of, all the epochs, all the eras in our entire journey that we have been a part of, are all coming to a close at a particular point in time, because there is an intended outcome to our journey. It is the reason why we've embarked on this journey, and we and not only us, but the planetary systems that we've been a part of, and the solar systems that we've been a part of, and particularly this planetary system, what we call Lady Gaia, or our divine Mother Earth, has been on this journey with us, and all of us together are reaching the intended outcome, the pinnacle, or the crescendo, probably a better way of putting it, of these incredible journeys that we've embarked on together.
What do you think will be the greatest changes from 3D to 5D Earth? Well, you already know, but what can we expect, from this point of view? A lot of us can only anticipate or perhaps surmise what to expect, but what was the biggest shock? What was something that you experienced that you didn't think you would experience there?
The biggest problem I have emotionally had to process is walking away from my life here and leaving friends and family behind, whoever that will be, whoever chooses not to ascend. That, and also all my life, and this is what a lot of people have an issue with, and I understand why, because I've gone through these emotional processes myself. I'm still renovating my home. I'm still planting trees. I literally am. I planted a tree just the other day. I renovated my home just yesterday. I'm still working on this earthly life. I'm still living life. I haven't given up. And like Muhammad once said, I love this saying, if you're in the middle of planting a tree and the world is coming to an end, finish planting the tree. And, those trees, they want to live with me, even though it's going to be a few months or a year or 2 years. They want that experience. They want to enjoy that short period of time together with me. And I don't want to deny them that. I want to have that experience with them as well. I want to water them. I want to talk to them. I want to nurture them. I want to enjoy looking at them and being with them. So it's important to live life right through. And yes, this reality is going to wind up. This 3D reality is deconstructing. The evidence is all around us. People just don't want to go there. They don't want to come to terms with that. They're not ready to come to that realization. And so you cannot have an ascension process and live in a reality that is still completely barbaric. The natural kingdom on this level, our ecosystem, our environment is completely barbaric. Is it beautiful? Sure. It has an incredible beauty to it. I look out my window as I'm speaking to you and I'm seeing the beginnings of an incredible sunset. It is beautiful. I look at a bird, and you think, what a magnificent bird. But then the next moment it turns around and picks up a worm and bashes it against the branch and starts hacking that worm to pieces. Does that worm think that bird is beautiful in that moment? No. So understand it is duality. There's beauty and then there's barbarianism that comes along with that beauty. That's the nature of this era, this epoch, this reality that we set up. We needed an environment so to immerse ourselves in which reflects who and what we are as well, the journeys that we have taken. And now we're all maturing out of that. So this whole natural environment, this whole ecosystem has to go. It cannot stay. A new one needs to be reborn. So that means the Earth's crust must go. Okay? The very foundational makeup of this reality needs to go. It needs to deconstruct. And that's what I'm here to share with people. And don't take my word for it. Please ask Mother Earth herself. Okay? That's what I'll just keep saying it. I'll keep pointing people towards her. Don't take my word for it. Ask her what she's doing. And I say to people, don't put all emphasis on what you're hearing out there in the world of conspiracy circles and theories of ET agendas, Nibiru's causing the Earth changes. No, it's not. It's this is what the ETs want you to see, because then it gives the ETs power, it gives the technology the power, it gives what they're doing the power, and it takes away the real power, which is Mother Earth herself. She has a say in this, and what happens here is up to what she's going to do, what she says is going to happen. Okay?
I would agree, and it seems like a lot of the Nibiru material is all fear-based propaganda.
It is. It does exist.
Of course.
But it doesn't have anywhere near the power that people think it does. Mm-hmm. And it really, and what does it house? It is a home for beings who cannot live on any other planetary system anymore. They cannot handle the vibration of a mother planet. So they are now on what once was a small planet and is now turned into a technologically based artificial satellite which goes around the cosmos under its own propulsion system. Very sad indeed.
Now, some races, alien races, don't use starships. They are their starship through the Merkaba. Is it possible that some of these people would try to come down here to get us to go with them through the ascension process, hence trying to kidnap our souls, essentially, and take us away from the ascension of Mother Earth.
Oh, there will be those that I've said that before in March 2009 in our journey in the Grand Deception. I said that these beings will come and appear as angels and as light. They have the ability to do that. And yes, they will play that trick on humanity. There will be those who will attempt to do that. Absolutely.
So what would be your recommendation for how one would discern whether this is the truth or this is something I shouldn't listen to?
People will know straight away the familiarity. It's like when a brother or a sister walks into the room. You know exactly who it is in that moment and in that instant. They don't have to shine a great light upon you. They don't have to smother you with all this love just so they can prove who they are. You know instantly. There's no issue about it. You just know, and that's how it is when you're true. When your family of the true light appears. That's the knowing that's already there. It's established. It's warm and it's gentle and it's graceful. There is no hoo-ha involved whatsoever.
Let me ask you this. How does one talk to people who are trapped inside the box about what's going on right now?
That, if I had the answers to that question, I would be a very, very happy man indeed. These are the challenges that I have. The nature of my work. What a great question, crikey. Oh, look, I try to do it gently, and then there's times when I'm in a conversation with someone. What I find myself doing, I would say on a more regular basis than not, is I will just gently just start pushing the boundaries of a person and just see where the boundaries are in conversation. And then I work out quickly what I can and can't say. So that's one way of going about it. Another way I go about it is I will feel into that person's greater being. I feel into the person and connect with that person's higher self. And I very quickly get a feel for that person's journey. And their higher self will say to me, "Oh, please don't say that to me. I'm not ready." On the odd occasion, my ego's gotten in the way, and I tested that, and the reaction I got was unpleasant, and that person's higher self was absolutely true, and I shouldn't have done it. But it was a learning curve for me. I needed that, and I'm happy they facilitated that for me because I got to really learn that my intuition was serving me very well indeed. So that's another way to go about it. Sometimes people's higher selves actually want you to push them and push them hard. Because they're just not getting it. And okay, I could stand back and I could not do a thing and just allow people just to go through the motions, and eventually some will ascend. The issue that comes into play is how much do we interfere? Am I here to interfere? Yes, I am. Am I interfering? No, I don't see it as interfering. I'm actually playing a role that I have a set of responsibilities that come with that role. So all these issues start coming into play when you start venturing down this path, and actually a whole discussion can be held on this very subject alone. It's a very broad subject. There's so many factors involved in this, because we start getting into universal law, you see, of non-interference, and I've incarnated to interfere. That's what I come here to do, to expose the deception and to help people remember who they are.
Wonderful. Now, do you believe or do you know of any benevolent races who might be white coats that are working in, say, government positions or something like that, trying to help us behind the scenes?
Yeah, we do. We have brothers and sisters who are in very, very difficult positions. We have people who are in the very dark side of things. And this is the part where my ego finds a little bit amusing, because I often say to the dark agenda, you wait till you find out maybe the guy that you've confided in the most might turn out to be someone of the true light. So we have people that are in the front lines in positions all over the military, in the science, everywhere, all over the planet, and when the time comes, they will do what they need to do.
Wonderful. That's wonderful, wonderful news. Yeah, it's comforting for a lot of people to know that too.
Oh, it's important not to be judgmental. You know, it really is. It's people so quick to judge, honestly, and you know, and I've made the statement that people who are quite evil and dark at the moment are actually going to ascend, and a lot of people don't like that. And I say, well, you can't just judge on this one lifetime. It's not about this one lifetime. You've got to look at a soul's journey over eras and epochs, and you know, in order to ascend and become a Christed being, you've had to have had everything. You've had to have been everything and done everything. Mm-hmm. So you can't ascend and become a Christed being without being the most evil of evil that has ever existed. You can't, because you wouldn't know about it. You wouldn't know what it's like to be that.
That makes sense.
Okay? You've got to have that wisdom in your soul. So we've done it all. We've been it all and we've done it all. So don't judge, and don't judge on this one lifetime, because while you're wearing white clothes and being a vegan and doing meditations 6 to 8 hours a day and trying to do everything right, how do you know that the person who's being evil in this lifetime didn't do that the lifetime before while you were completely evil? So it's very important not to judge on this one lifetime.
One final question. What recommendations would you make for people to prepare themselves for the upcoming shift?
Oh, okay. The first thing I recommend is relax. Don't panic. That is number one, because that will help you to hold center. Mm-hmm. It's about believing and trusting in yourself. Who created this life? You know, who created your life? I didn't create your life. You created your life. And so it's about realizing there's an aspect of ourselves that orchestrated and composed and is actually conducting this life. George is my earthly personality for this one lifetime. This one lifetime. What about all the others? So all those other lifetimes still exist and are a part of my soul, are just further back in the timeline. So they all are playing a role in this ascension happening. So it's very important to understand that we are not actually in control of our lives down here. It will appear as such, and it's nice to have that notion of free will on this level of reality, but it's not actually the case. So it's really very important to believe and trust within your own being, and that higher aspect of you is actually the part of you that's completely one with the universe and one with life and one with God. And so very, very important to believe and trust in that aspect of yourself.
I couldn't have said that better. George, I got to thank you for this amazing, totally impromptu interview, spot on the moment here. You know, 3:50.
It was, wasn't it?
3:50 in the morning Eastern time.
Wow.
But I can't say enough about how much I appreciate everything you're doing, and I just can't wait to spread the word through this interview on my website. And I'd like to give you a chance to say your website and give the people your information as well right now.
Okay, well, my website is, I call it Ascension and Beyond. There's a couple of others that are called that, so you can Google that, or you can go directly via www.georgekavassilas.org, and Kavassilas is spelled Kavassilas, and .org, and you can go on there. There's a range of videos and everything free for download. I try to do the best I can to provide access to for everyone to access the material, and I want to say how much I appreciate your efforts, Greg, as well. I'm aware of the things that you're doing, and I find it incredibly refreshing that people have so much passion in life that want to help our human family, and very much appreciate, and I feel honoured and humbled that I was given this opportunity as well. Thank you.
Oh gosh, I'm the one that's honored and humbled. No, thank you very much, George, and I'd love to do this again with your permission.
I'd love to. Yeah, it would be a great honour. It would, honestly.
Okay, well, once again, thanks again for being able to chat with me, and I'll look forward to chatting with you again sometime in the very near future.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, George.
Love and blessings to you and everyone.
You as well, my friend. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.